Hello, everybody, and welcome to TOT&HAM, the show where James and I can talk about our respective clubs, Tottenham and West Ham. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yourself?
Not bad. Been a busy day today. Hectic running around. I was in town for most of the day and come back, and now we can wax lyrical about our clubs.
As we do, generally. I don't know how much would be lyrical, but...
Yeah, there's no rhyming here. But we don't have any games to talk about this week, so... obviously, we had the international break. A couple of our respective players represented on Saturday in Declan Rice. We only had the one. You had Harry Kane.
You got internationals.
Who else came up for you?
Well, Lo Celso's injured.
Yeah.
He's out till the end of October, which is a real shame because it was obviously with sort of midweek games coming up now, it was a time to kind of integrate him in as a Eriksen alternative, like in some of the weaker games maybe. So mass pressure on Christian Eriksen. I guess his FPL appeal probably just went up a little bit if you're into that sort of thing. Blow, but we're well covered in those areas at the moment. It's central midfield, fullback positions are the problem areas for us.
Yeah, this episode, you wanted to just kind of touch on the ownership, the managers, the general feeling around the club, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be something a bit different rather than us just kind of rehashing the regurgitated shit. Should you captain Harry this weekend? Probably not if you've got a Man City player or a Liverpool player. So, no, I just thought that would be rehashing stuff. So I thought we'd just do something a bit different. Open chat. How do we feel about things?
You've had the same owner and CEO for a long time at Tottenham. How long's Daniel Levy been there?
Daniel Levy's not been the chairman officially since ENIC got hold of the club in 2001. I think David Buckler had it briefly.
I thought isn't it Joe Lewis owns the club?
Joe Lewis, billionaire, tax dodger, isn't he, in the Bahamas?
Yeah, sitting in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But if I had $1 billion, I'd be living in the Bahamas. Although they've had a horrible hurricane just now, so touch wood, God bless, everything's all right over there.
Daniel's had it, though, for 16, 17 years.
Exactly, and there's a lot of stability at Spurs from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, opinion across the fan base is very much divided on Levy. But it depends what you look at. Like, social media will always make everything seem less positive, shall we say. I think the general reaction, particularly most of the fans who go regularly and have been to the new stadium, etc., like, okay, this is why you're not spending money on transfer so much.
Of course, it's long-term thinking, long-term planning. He's very shrewd. You can't argue with that.
The training ground's widely reported as to be one of the best in the world. I think the stadium has been very well received. Even like anybody who's been as a away fan that I know so far is like, oh, fucking hell, that place is great. So stadiums there, the infrastructure with the training grounds, youth teams generally perform okay, not to the level of sort of Chelsea, Man City's, but then we don't have like 100 players to choose from all around the globe.
True. I mean, Bury had 100 players, we learned the other week
well,
anyway,
yeah,
that
is true across a wide range of age groups. But you'll never get away from the haters who just expect the money to be spent. And I say several times on this pod that every time we hit top four, we're punching above our weight at the moment.
Do you reckon other fans think that as well? Because it wouldn't surprise me if Tottenham didn't finish in the top four this year.
I don't know. I feel like perhaps from some of the other sort of similarly sized clubs like Everton maybe, and those who've suffered like Leeds, Newcastle, I don't know if there's a little bit of envy towards Spurs because particularly the three of them, and perhaps at times Villa, have been on the fringes of the top four and never really got in. Spurs are the only ones who have got in and stayed in without money, basically. It seems to be the less we spend, the better we do. Mind you, we bought 3 players this summer and they're all fucking injured. So it's stuck with the same stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what the perception is from the outside. When you're in your own little bubble, it's hard to... I obviously get plenty of feedback and see what people say. All I see on my timeline is people criticising Kane all the time, for example, and you just let it wash over your head. But I think there probably is a little bit of envious glances from other clubs like, oh, how have they done it?
Have you done what? Build a stadium and
just
the finances?
Put ourselves in a position with those restrictions to be classed as part of this big six, if you will, because really it should be a big five.
It started as a top 2 that went into a top 3
Well,
that went into a top 4.
Let's clarify. He's a big 2 now.
Well,
and there's 4 teams behind it.
It started as a 2, which went to like 3 and 4, and then has become the top 6. But then, now there's a kind of break between the top 2 and the remaining 4. But it's still, people talk about the top 6 all the time. Do you think, as it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that it's going to end up becoming a top 8 and then a top 10? Or is that break that's happening between the top 2 and the others now a case of, right, okay, we're starting again with 2, and then it's going to go to 3 and 4 and 5?
You get cycles in football, don't you? Like, you get fads, like for a couple of years, every now and again, 3 at the back becomes like a big thing. Diamonds, different formations, 4-3-3s, whatever. And you get certain cycles with certain football clubs. So, like, there's no doubt that, like, United will rise back to the top because it's just such a huge global power. One of the concerns for me at Spurs is, like, the manager is the most important person at the club. And I do worry what will happen when he walks away. I mean, at the time of speaking now, he's joint favourite in the sack race at quite a big price at like 6-1. Basically off the back of some mad...
Sack or leaving? He's not necessarily going to get sacked.
No way.
He may leave.
Sack?
So you said the sack race is the
There's
first
no way
to
he
leave.
gets sacked. First to leave, yeah. Based, I think, on weight of money through some mad rumours that went around before the Arsenal game that he was going to walk out either just before or just after. Pochettino's made it very clear that he won't walk out. But I think there are some concerns. I have some concerns about some of the things he started saying recently, which kind of feels like the kind of subtle digs. He started saying the odd sort of thing that you'd more associate with Mourinho.
I thought you were going to say Jose Mourinho there for a
little bit. And you think, fuck off, Poch. There's no need for that. Like, his reputation has been built on his amazing coaching. So far, I mean, we've not really seen him have the power of money, but time will tell if, say, for example, Ndombele's going to be the midfield player that we want him to be. By all reports, that's the player that Pochettino wanted the most, and he got him quite early in the window.
Yeah, and not crazy money. I mean, he's expensive, but you see some of the transfer fees knocking around.
All them assets, other than kind of Eriksen he inherited, a lot of the rest have been bought for mere pittance, really. I mean, even ones they did spend a little bit of money on, like Son, 20 million. It's a few years ago now, but even 4 years ago, it wasn't a huge amount of money. No. You got Toby Alderweireld in for 11 million. It's the way he's developed the fullbacks. I think that's why there's a hope within the club at the moment. We have a huge problem in the fullback areas, but there's hope that he can coach it through in the way, the mass improvement you saw, say, in Danny Rose particularly. Danny Rose was so bog standard when Poch walked in the door to suddenly within 2 years he was first choice for England. And there's a hope that obviously perhaps he might develop Sessegnon in that position. Yeah. And maybe, I think he's got eyes on playing one for it eventually at right back, who's also injured. But he said plenty of things, hasn't he, in terms of we have to think differently as a club. But now it feels like it's centred more about money. One of Pochettino's greatest strengths, not just the coaching, is how he's changed everybody's mentality within the club. As in, like, the year we pushed Leicester, and obviously Arsenal overtook us on the last day, he was fucking raging about the heavy defeat at Newcastle and the way our players just didn't turn up on the day. Mm-hmm. But the message was constantly like, forget about Arsenal. The amount of times I say on this pod, like, the two sets of supporters, and it's not just Spurs and Arsenal, it's other rivals, are obsessed with what the other one's doing, rather than just thinking, actually, we can be bigger than them. Whereas you get the term shadow mentioned a lot, don't you? Oh, you've always been in Arsenal shadow. A lot of people still think we are. I think the clubs are kind of on an equal at the moment. You can't read it. I hear all this all the time. Power shift. What the fuck's a power shift? We haven't won anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the biggest thing that is going to be put at you about being on an equal with Arsenal is they've still won trophies in the last 5-7 years and you haven't. On the pitch, on any given day, I would say you were equal. Although I would probably say in the last 2 seasons, maybe 3, you've been ahead of Arsenal by a considerable amount. They've caught up pretty quickly. The signings they've made, I think now, like we saw it last week with the derby, right? I think Arsenal were favourites at home. And probably a draw was a fair result. But in terms of size and stature of club, I think, yeah, if you had, we're talking cigarette paper between them now, though, because maybe 2 years ago they had the stadium, you didn't. Now you've got the stadium, you've got the players, you've got the Champions League football, Champions League final under your belts. Like you win, so say 2 trophies in the next 3 years, and you could say that you are ahead of them already.
But I think the point is, I'm not even interested in having that debate. I'm far more concentrated in what Spurs are doing. And that's been Pochettino's mentality. The reason that gap has narrowed again from finishing, I think it was 20 odd points, we finished above them in 16, 17.
Yeah.
Is because we've dropped down from 86 points to being low 70s again. Arsenal's points total at the moment hasn't particularly changed. But
that year was a funny year. We lived with Leicester winning the league. And
well, that was the year we pushed Chelsea.
Yeah.
The year we pushed Leicester, we only finished on 70 points.
Right.
Which kind of gets forgotten. Like in most seasons, that wouldn't have been enough to finish top 4. Whereas that year we finished second to Chelsea, the following year, on certain occasions, would have been enough to win the league. So I think Poch's frustration stems from, people say, he hasn't replaced Trippier. The people in the know seem to think that Poch and Trippier fell out before the Champions League final. I know he definitely fell out with Kyle Walker before he sold him to Man City. And it seems like it's his choice.
What does fall out mean? Like,
I don't know. You're never really going to know till afterwards.
Is he not training in the right way? Is he not following instructions? Is it a personality clash? Like, what does fallout even mean?
Taking the Kyle Walker, the rumour with Kyle Walker was that he approached Pochettino in April when Spurs had a very outside shot of pushing Chelsea for the title. And he said, I want to leave at the end of the season. And Pochettino just thought the timing was so shocking. And it was. But then Kyle Walker thinks it's fabricated and bollocks. So you're going to get 2 sides of the story there. We weren't linked with a right back all summer. So there was a plan in place to let Trippier go and improve from within.
Aurier and Kyle Walker-Peters.
There's no links, nothing. It's not like they've gone for not a single right back linked with us really all summer. So from that point of view, every Spurs fan would look at the team right now and go, what would be need a right back? Because he likes playing this, it was kind of moving towards a 4-3-3. And Arsenal were doing it now, trying to kind of replicate Liverpool a little bit. But the reason Liverpool are so bloody good is because those 2 fullbacks, right? And what they offer. So that it doesn't matter that the midfield 3 don't provide no. If you want to play on Ndombele, Winks and Sissoko, to be honest, as a head-to-head, that could rival Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho. Between the 6 of them, they don't get many goal scoring returns.
Sure.
But what do Robertson and Alexander-Arnold provide? An extra 20 goals contributed basically compared to what we've got. So that's why we're miles away. Until we address that problem, we've got no chance of pushing Liverpool.
Should we talk about West Ham?
Yeah.
It's only, we talked about it on the main point, it's only 14, maybe it wasn't on the main point, one of the shows. It's only 14, 15 months since we had the protests and the flag on the pitch and all of that kind of stuff. It's amazing how quickly things can change in amongst the fans and the mood and what have you. I
don't think you've ever really said what has changed.
Well, we spent money last summer. We bought Anderson was a big signing last summer, and then we obviously bought Haller and Fornals, and we bought Yarmolenko last summer. So we had Pellegrini come in as manager. He signed a 3-year contract. People raised their eyebrows a little bit in terms of age at the time when
I did, in fairness, yeah.
He's 2 years into his 3-year contract. The thing with Pellegrini is that he is Mr. like a suave. He's a polished guy. He's not fucking like a Neil Warnock or what have you. He's on the suave and sophisticated end of it. You can tell he's professional. He runs things the right way. He handled the Arnautovic situation reasonably well, I thought, as well. Didn't blow it all out of proportion. Didn't get ridiculous as it could have. And then eventually we got rid of him, thank God. But all in all, he's got a system of play. We pretty much play the same formation week in, week out, which fits the players that we have. And the general vibe is good. We just do stupid things. You've said it, and I know I agree. It's not an ability issue. It's a mental issue at West Ham, where we can just we'll concede a goal and then we'll just roll over and 2 or 3 will go in. But when we approach games, which we have done, you've seen it at your place. It was the same against United last year, same against Liverpool. When we're up for it, and we know we're going to fight, we'd give anyone a game on our day. So why don't you do that?
Well,
week
we
in,
had
week
that,
out?
wouldn't it? You know, Spursy was like a term, wasn't it? Basically, from the idea that when Spurs got themselves in a good position, they'd shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And West Ham's performances for a number of years, really, I see it especially because of the rivalry and how you feel about us, is you do every time.
The royal you, because I don't think that all fans, and me particularly, care that much about rivalry. Like, I'm not a
Really?
hater. Yeah, I couldn't care. Like,
You're
I'm not
a little
a
bit
hater.
different. I don't think most West Ham fans feel like you.
Yeah, but we're not all like that. And I would love a world where people weren't just constantly, hating on other teams and concentrate on your own team. I'd rather just be better. But I think we do raise our game against Spurs and against United, and when the big boys come, which means we end up with a season where we'll beat Arsenal and Man United and then lose to Wolves and Bournemouth, and just. Where's the consistency?
Jesus, are those the two worst teams you could come up with?
Well, I just remember the first 2 game weeks of last year where we lost the first 2 home games.
That's true, yeah.
And that's why they came to mind. But obviously we had other struggles as
You
well.
also got battered at Liverpool and Arsenal, if I remember correctly.
That was away, right?
In the first 4 game weeks last year, yeah.
But then we got a result against both at our place. So
Yes.
a draw for Liverpool and what have you. So, yeah, it's all in the head. But we are making progress. I think the owners are in it for the long haul. I don't think Gold and Sullivan are in for a quick buck and to leave, as they may have done at Birmingham or what have you. I don't know if their hearts were fully in it.
So has it changed from the fans' perspective? Has it calmed down because we've started spending money, basically?
On half decent players, because we've spent money in the past. It's just been.
Do you know what else I feel like they've done a lot better, and they still have their moments, the two of them. But since
Shut up.
since Pellegrini's come in, it's felt like a little bit like
Just let him get on with it.
Shut the fuck up. Let me get on with it, kind of. Yeah. I used to say daft things. I tell the story all the time, don't I?
We're going to buy a striker.
When you had the last game against Man United,
Yeah.
when you decided to smash up your own town, Sullivan was on the pitch while the kickoff was getting delayed, saying how proud he was and what they was going to do in the summer. And he said on live TV, we have 30 million to buy a striker in the summer. So as soon as you went to buy it for a player...
30 million.
No, well, 40 million.
Yeah. Well, the owners will
and
always
you never
do
bought
dumb
anyone.
shit.
Yeah, but you don't say that. Well, who are you trying to
No, you don't,
impress
but they
by
will
saying that?
do-
Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to... Don't do
They're
that.
trying to get the fans on side. It's a PR exercise.
One
right?
of
So
the
don't
things
worry,
with
we're gonna
Levy is
spend money.
like he doesn't want to be in the public eye. He only very occasionally does interviews, probably twice a year, for like the club website or the program or something like that. He's done a bit more in the last couple of years because of the stadium, where he's had to give information a lot more, but he will stay well out of it. And it feels like yours have a lot more, and I think there's a benefit.
I still think we have one struggle with players. I don't think the club has the stature necessarily that it needs yet. What I mean by that is players will still have one eye over their shoulder of where they can go to next. Thoughts of like Dimitri Payet. He came, he played so well, but then he's like, you know what, I've got another move on. Same with Arnautovic. That was financially led or for whatever reason. I feel like players that come to West Ham are still looking to then make that next step up.
Yes.
So starting to break into the top 6 and top 4 and beating top 6 sides more regularly than a bit of European competition might start then changing that mindset. I don't know, did you ever have that at Spurs?
Yeah, massively. So, I mean, if you go back to sort of 2004, when we were finishing like 14th, 15th, the philosophy kind of around them really changed to get these young English players in. The Defoes, or Robbie King was Irish, but you know what I mean? Local,
Yeah, British.
Well, you don't call them British.
The United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland and
Republic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Paul Robinsons, Michael Dawson's, Michael Carrick's.
Yeah.
There was a real philosophy to that. But there were others, obviously, Berbatov is a prime example, came in, sensational for 2 years. First sign of something bigger. He was off, and you can't knock it. Won a Champions League straight away, right?
Sure.
And there've been others. Modric obviously ended up going at Real Madrid to Bale, but he would have quite happily jumped to Chelsea the summer before. So we've had all that. We had it with like Sheringham in the late 90s. So yeah, we had to get used to that, and it's still that for us, right? You know, difficult example, but I don't know if Man City wanted to buy, let's say, Dele Alli tomorrow, we would probably go, wouldn't he?
he would definitely want to have that conversation. Spurs are not in a financial position where they need to sell. Maybe because of the debt at the stadium, but ultimately you don't need to sell. And I think we've got ourselves in a position where we don't need to sell. Some of the other clubs in the league, you might say like Bournemouth, maybe because of the small size of stadiums. Southampton have always been selling, but that's to finance and fund the club. We've got a number of young players that other people will have their eye on. Declan Rice, definitely. Issa Diop for sure. Like next season, if people are putting 40 to 60 million pound bids in, that's big money for a club like us, but we don't need to sell them.
Not really. You've kind of just spent that in the last couple of years on like Haller and Anderson, respectively.
Yeah. Anderson was 36, give or take, 24 on Fornals. It's not, but we don't need to, but the likelihood is that we would probably take the money. I feel like someone said today, £60 million for Declan Rice, the club would accept that bid.
Well, it's probably more that he'd want to go, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, depending on where it was, City or United or Liverpool or anyone in the top 6.
You will have to keep overcoming that.
Yeah. So what changes?
Well, you have to probably longer contracts. One of the things Levy's done, I mean, there's a problem at Spurs at the moment where you've got, obviously, Eriksen's very well publicised. There's actually a few players around the leagues, David De Gea at United, Ryan Fraser at Bournemouth, who you're like, how have they ended up in the last year of their contract? Eriksen's a problem. Alderweireld, Vertonghen less so because of their age.
Yeah.
They might go on a free. If they go on a free, they go on a free, but they might keep extending. Eriksen's an issue because really that's a... Peak Eriksen's 80, 90 million, isn't he?
Yep.
In the current market.
Yep.
So if we're talking about what Coutinho went for 130, 140, I think it's fair to put Eriksen at that sort of valuation. That's an issue, but it hasn't been for a long time. Like Kane's kept re-signing 5-6 year contracts. Ali, a couple of years ago, signed 6-year contract. Quite a few long contracts. So, if they want to turn around the next year and go, I don't fancy this now. You've got 5 years of your contract left, mate.
Yeah.
Would you fucking
it's
sign?
Not so easy
what did you sign it
out.
for? And actually, I think there's a little bit where that swung the other way now, where some of the players have started to realise that and go, I'll sign for 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Rather than signing these really long contracts.
Because if they do sign out of contract deals, the salaries are obviously, the transfer fees are being bumped into the salaries. What's Aaron Ramsey on? Some stupid money, isn't it?
It's like 300 grand a week or something.
Exactly, because there's no transfer fee involved. So players are not stupid. They know that they can.
Well, no, Christian Eriksen knows he can walk into a big club next year, and if he walks into Juventus next year, he's got every right to go, well, I want 400 grand a week.
Yeah, of course.
It's a fair question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Spurs are not going to pay him that money. So I imagine Eriksen will probably still leave in January for kind of the Alexis Sanchez slap of money. Maybe he'll go to United as well. I've heard that rumoured.
You never know. I think we need to reinforce our striker position. We do have a shortage there because of the injury.
If he performs up front, it's not an issue, is it?
Who, Haller?
Yeah,
it's injury risk, isn't it? No strength and depth. We've got Ajeti, and I don't know if he's not really going to be the ultimate replacement. Antonio could have filled the role if we needed, but
it's interesting actually because you've ended up quite overloaded with attacking midfielders.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Antonio's out for a while, but there's a bit of depth there. Like Fornals is not getting a look in at the moment. The other three, Yarmolenko
could be pushed to play
and
as a striker.
Yeah, I agree. But Pellegrini teams have, I think he's seen what he's got there and he's working with it. Pellegrini's really like to two. Think back to that City team, sort of like even like Aguero and Negredo, Aguero, Xhaka. He's generally like to two. Bought Jovetic. I'm sure it was Jovetic. I'm sure Pellegrini bought Jovetic. He's generally like to front two. One of the criticisms of his spell towards the end at Man City was that he was tactically inflexible. And I guess to an extent, you kind of said like he never tactically surprises you.
We do sometimes. It's like a 4-2-3-1. We will sometimes play 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1. Like instead of say an attacking trio of Anderson, Lanzini, and say Yarmolenko, we'll drop one of those and play Snodgrass. And Snodgrass is a bit more defensive minded, but it's not often. It's not often, no. But I'm very quietly confident about this season. I think we'll tick along nicely, and as long as we keep progressing in the way we have, we scored 5 goals in the last 2 games, which is decent. We need to reinforce that. I think Monday night's game against Villa is massive, a massive game. They had a really good result in an evening match with Everton at home. The place was buzzing. The whole end at the end of it was buzzing. If they recreate that atmosphere, then Villa will give us a very tough game. But I feel like it's going to be that was a Friday night. Monday night's quite different. Friday night, people are out on the piss. Monday night, you got to go work the next day.
Do you know what? You're actually right. You are right.
So
it's not just that as well. It's the psychological for the working man. Like, it's the end of the week, the party starts. Whereas Monday's like, been back
that is
to
the
work.
first game back in the Premier League
tomorrow.
after so many years. So if we take it to them, I think we could and should win on Monday. But again, looking at that match, it's going to be a tough game.
As a football club, we've spoken about it so many times. Your mentality, stop looking at Villa away and going, a point's okay.
It's not okay.
But no, that's what I'm saying.
It's not okay.
Change the mentality.
We need to be scoring 2-3 goals, maintain this kind of XG of showing that we can score 2-3 goals a game.
I'd be more impressed if you went there and won 1-0.
Ground it out.
Yeah. Do an un-West Ham thing in a game like that.
Yeah.
That would impress me more.
Well, we'll see what happens because I have my eyes on that game closely. Anything else to add?
Nah, I just thought we'd have a chat, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Claret and blue, lily whites, and there we go. We're going to be coming back at you tomorrow with a real breakdown on Sky Fantasy Football. It's overhaul time, just a few days to go until the Sky equivalent of the wildcard is up. You get a fixed period to use it in Sky, so now's the time to do it. We've had a lot of learning in the first 4 weeks is the right word to use with it.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah, learning, let's call it. James and I are going to be running down the teams, all of the players that are potential considerations, and our Sky overhauled teams tomorrow. And then we've got Stephen Toomey at 6th goal and Adam Pritchard at 3-5 It's Watford versus Arsenal this weekend as well for Clash of the Correspondents on Thursday. So do stay tuned for all of that.
And Friday we'll have a look at final plans for weekend.
Yes, I need to decide if I'm going to make a transfer or not.
I'm probably not going to at the moment.
Yeah, me neither, but I'm starting to get itchy fingers about a few players. Kevin De Bruyne top of my
We're
list.
not allowed to mention him anymore.
Lucas Dean. All right, Matt.
Come in, Matt. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Smash the place up, mate.
Tell me about it. Lucas Dean, I think I was looking at Yarmolenko at 5.9 million. Is cheap for what he is. So
crack on.
There's a few that I'm looking at now, thinking maybe I might be 3-4 weeks away from wildcarding potentially. So stay tuned on Friday for the final plan. But other than that, thanks for all the support. Do like, share, subscribe, and all the other good stuff. Ciao for now.
Cue music, Matt Child.
Messi, ancora Messi,